Shut up and sit down.
Welcome once again to the Shite Podcast Show. I'm your host, Mark Kearns, with you on episode 112 of the Shite Podcast Show. And we're back with another episode, and we are post ADCC 2019. The World Championships of no-gi grappling is ADCC. This is where we pick the best no-gi grappler in the world. Every 2 years, it's done like this, and whoever wins their division is the best in no-gi at that time. I know some people might say it's not a no-gi contest. You can wear anything. Just people choose to wear no-gi. It's a no-gi contest. Everyone wears no-gi. So no matter what way you look at it, it's a no-gi contest. Now, so what I'll be doing today, because I have a lot to get through, I basically try to just cram a 3 days worth of grappling into 1 day yesterday, and in order to give you the most up-to-date preview I could, instead of just thinking about what happened over the weekend. So I watch it back. Pretty much spent the whole day watching ADCC, so there's been a huge amount of research done on this. There's probably not going to go into each individual match. We'll be here until probably the next ADCC. I'll go through some of the talking points, go through each of the divisions, things that I noticed from the divisions, what we see the evolution of no-gi grappling is in the sport, a few of the upsets, a few of the talking points of ADCC. There is a lot to get through. Even with that, there is really a lot to get to in terms of talking points in that. I'm going to start off with the 66 under minus 66 kg category. That was the one that we had our Irish hopeful Tom Halpin in, unfortunately losing 13-0 to Pablo Montoya. So that's unfortunate for him in terms of that. I just think it was close in the early half of that match for Tom, but just in the end, just losing out. Just I think a little bit of steam, losing a bit of cardio, and then just a lot of pressure passing from Pablo. And yeah, that's unfortunate for him. But I think a huge achievement for an Irish guy who trains mostly in Ireland, even though he was over in Fight Sports in Miami for this camp over there. Trains over in Cyborg. But most of the time does train in Ireland. So I think that's a huge achievement just to make it to ADCC. This isn't like the Worlds where you can just pay in. You have to earn your place. So everybody on this card has earned their way either by performance over the last 2 years that led to an invite, or winning a trials match, which Tom Halpin did. He won the European trials in minus 66 in order to get a place in the ADCC final. But anyway, we had our winner for a retained champion for Kenny Michel. And I think one of the biggest upsets for this minus 66 bracket, because obviously Kenny Michel was going to be one of the favourites, won it last year, but it was Nicky Ryan. I think one of the definitely for the pools, the weight categories anyway. One of the big talking points was there wasn't a lot of the big leg lockers, a lot of the guys like that would be leg lock focused. And you see a lot of them in the minus 66 category, like Nicky Ryan, Tom Halpin would be another one. I wouldn't say calling me out as the leg lockers. They're kind of the anti-leg lockers because they're so hard to actually leg lock. But we hadn't seen a whole lot of leg locks in any of the weight categories. A lot of lads were using failed leg lock attempts to then attack the back. So if a guy shot a leg lock on them and it wasn't great, you seen a lot of people taking the back, Kenny Michelle brought, I think he was the oldest competitor. The minus 66 had a very young category. What I think we'll see is like Nicky Ryan as they get older, because other than him, it had one of the youngest pools. I think the average age was 25, and we had the 16-year-old, and we had, I think, an 18-year-old. Nicky Ryan, I think, is 18. We had a 22-year-old, and yeah, we had a lot of young. I think Katie Michelle, obviously a veteran of this, and brought a huge pressure game. Kind of did really well and just kind of nullify Meow's game. Meow has like a really interesting guard. When he fought like Nicky Ryan, he basically had like his knees onto where his nipples are. So anytime kind of a smash pass was really hard, he couldn't get really access. Since he had such strong legs there, he couldn't really just kind of pull his legs and sit down for a leg lock. Like you see a lot of people entering in that way. And if you try to smash past him, he kind of just turns with you the way that you're turning and just be able to kind of push you off. So it's just really, really hard. I think Nicky Ryan, when he fought Palo Meow, that was one of his biggest problems that he faced. It was really a nightmare matchup before. I think they had fought before, Nicky Ryan and Palo Meow, and Meow won again. And I think the score, I think it was, oh yeah, so what happened was, because I just even think back yesterday, what happened was, it was 2-0, and Palo Meow got 1 negative point for sitting down. Now, it's kind of controversial what happened here, because Palo Meow sat down again, but didn't get a negative point. So you could kind of feel like Nicky Ryan was hard done by, because it should have went to overtime at least. So it was it should have been 2 plus 1 negative. So it was 1-0, and then he sat down again. So it would have been essentially 0-0, because he would have got 2 points taken away for sitting down twice. For whatever reason, the referees didn't give it to Nicky Ryan, or didn't give it another negative to Nicky Ryan, and Nicky lost on points to Palo Meow again. I think that's what he lost on last time. But yeah, when Palo, which would have been for many people the match for the tournament, when Palo Meow faced Kenny Michelle, it was. I think he just did a better job of just shutting down Meow's game. He just a lot of pressure pass. It worked him really. I think it was a ref decision in order to do it, and it was more just work rate. It was very, very close. Like, you could kind of give it to either one, like on whoever won that match. And I think it was like I don't know if it was a double negative score again. I'll look at my notes here. In terms of that, but that was for the bronze. That was the Palo Meow into the bronze match, and allowed him to allow him to fight for bronze. Knocked him out of the finals, and what surprise, he got another 5 minutes. Yeah, basically he just used a lot of pressure passing there. Just looking at my really bad notes, kind of was writing them as I was going along, and since there was so much to get through, and it literally took a full day of research, of just watching ADC back over and taking notes, and watching it back over, taking more notes. I didn't even get a chance to read over this. So there might be a few times during the show where I'm just reading my notes, going, "What am I trying to say here?" But anyway, in the final, we had in the semi-final. For the bronze match, we had Palo Meow, and he was facing Rotolo, who's only like 16 years old. And what was really interesting is, so Palomino was up 2-0 in the main match, and Palo got 2 negative points, I think, for sitting guard again, and so that would have brought it to overtime. Now, like, I think it would have been a few seconds left in. I think it was like the last few seconds left in it. Ty got a knee bar that like dislocated Palomino's knee. Miao just pushed him off. Now the flow grappling camera angle, you've seen a lot of photos of this around social media, and you kind of see his knee being like dislocated. The flow grappling had Ty's back, and you couldn't really see what was happening. You didn't see the severity. Obviously, I seen because of all the photos that came out around ADCC of what happened to Palomino, and him just casually pushing the guy's elbow up in order to try to free his knee. And yes, then we went to the ref's decision. Ref's decision was just about to give it to Palomino, and then it was called back. And you could see kind of Meow limping around. He was in a lot of pain. And then they had to go for another kind of 5 minutes. And Palomino ended up getting another advantage, bringing it 4 would have been 4-0. But he had 2 negatives. I think he might have actually got another negative point. I think it was like 4 points, 4 advantages with 3 negatives. So it would have been I think Palo only won it by 1-0. It was huge. It was like, it was a huge effort from a 16-year-old who kind of like, especially when he was a yellow belt, would remind you a lot of Palomino's game. Would have played a lot of similar games to Palomino. So that was probably, for Ty, it was probably a huge achievement just to face Palomino for the bronze match in ADCC. Anyway, other than that, so we had Kenny Michel in the finals for that, and he ended up taking it. He ended up taking the win against Bruno Fatillo in the final. So the next up category was 77 kgs, and this is a pool of death. This was the biggest one that you're looking at, and you're seeing so many killers in this division. You had Gary Tonin, you had Wagner Rocha, you had Lachlan Giles, and you had Ross Nichols. Ross Nichols is like, the UK is really coming up as like one of the top grappling countries around Europe, and you can really see it. Like, you had Fionn Davis, obviously going into this shoot would be one. Ross Nichols was another kind of prospect that maybe on the world stage you weren't really known, but if you watched like a lot of Paul Harris, you would have kind of known him from Paul Harris matches. He's going against JT Torres, who's the defending 77 champion. And you're kind of thinking, oh, this is a shit match for Ross Nichols. Obviously, JT was the number 1 seed, so he's going to give him the handier match. You put him in against Ross Nichols, the handier match. And fair play to Ross Nichols. The only reason that Ross Nichols lost because he brought it to overtime, and he sat down. He sat guard, so he got one negative point. But other than that, like, JT Torres wasn't able to score a point on him. Did a really phenomenal guard retention, Ross Nichols, in this match. Unbelievable. Attacked a lot off the legs. JT Torres was in danger a few times of getting his leg broken. Another one of these things of like a leg locker not being able to. I think the defense is so well known for leg locks, and JT Torres does a really good job of defending, get a lot of attacks. And yeah, it was just really, really impressive from Ross Nichols. Definitely, even though he went down in the first round, definitely stamped his name, and probably maybe a name that probably would have been forgotten about with all the craziness that we've seen in ADCC. But a really, really good performance from Ross Nichols, something that you can really be proud of. Fought the eventual winner of the 77 kilo. Gary Tonin proved that, like, basically he was must-watch TV in terms of grappling. My God, had a really, really good tournament. Side match throughout the match. I think even his first match was probably one of my favourite matches of it. Face Hinato in the first match. Both guys really, really went for it. Both guys really, really, really good wrestling exchanges. Good kind of back attempts from Gary Tonin. And winning on basically a negative point score. But I think Kanato may have got it for passivity was crazy, because that match was anything other than passive. Like, until it got to points. Like, guys, by the time we got to points, both guys were exhausted. And it went to overtime, I think. And I think Kanato got a negative score for passivity against Gary Town. But other than that, that was go. And it was one of the things about watching ADCC that I noticed throughout watching the show was how hard it is, especially when you get near and near the finals, how hard it is to actually score a point, because you have to have the clear guys' shoulders on the back. Like, score a takedown in ADCC is so hard. If you end up in guard, obviously it's 2 points. But if the guy can turn and get any way to the side or get into a turtle, you won't get any points for a takedown. It's really, really interesting and really, really hard for a lot of guys to actually score. That's why you see so many matches going to overtime. Another person, like I said, was a guy to look out for during the tournament. One of the favourites for it was Wagner Rocha. Wagner just basically brought a combat jiu-jitsu style, slap in the head. Was very lucky not to get a negative point through any of his matches, but just like utter unrelenting pressure against guys. End up facing JT Torres in the final for and you going into it, you were kind of fancying Wagner Rocha in terms of this match, even though the JT Torres was the defending champion going in. You just saw Wagner brought so much pressure and had such good cardio. I kind of just thought, because a lot of JT's game is all about kind of wrestling, getting control of the guy, maybe trying to take the guys back. Wagner is pretty much the same. You just would have thought Wagner would have been that little bit more sharper when it comes to wrestling, and it wasn't. I think JT Torres won that match after taking Wagner's back. I think it was he got a 3-pointer on Wagner. Wagner actually tapped, like, I think there's only a few seconds left to go in the match. He was controlling Wagner's back, and Wagner tapped. Now, I'm not too sure if there was a submission in. It didn't look like there was. I think there was like 5 seconds left, and I think Wagner's kind of knew, it's over. I'm not gonna score 3 points in this match, and even if I did, it's probably gonna be a ref decision to JT. So Wagner kind of just tapped out. But like, he talks, Wagner just talks so much shit to guys in that. You need to kind of get like a boom. You need to really mic up the match spec, or when you have likes of Wagner on it, just give out a kind of flavour of what kind of is being said on the match between the two competitors. Because Wagner talks so much shit. Like, there's one with GT Torres did a really hard like slap the back, and he's like, oh sorry, and he's like, oh no, come on, let's do this. He was like kind of inviting kind of these like palm strikes on, because that's what he wants. He wants to bring it, make it more of a physical encounter whenever he fights. Kind of people in jiu-jitsu. He's an MMA fighter, so he's used to like strikes. He's not afraid of getting hit. He's not afraid to like be aggressive, have a few slaps in jiu-jitsu. So it makes all the sense in the world. Now, the 88 kg. I'm gonna say this is probably one of the first big upsets for me because going into this match, Craig Jones obviously fighting here. You would have thought this guy is gonna win. This guy has to be one of the favorites. Has won a lot of kind of like the pro events. Bet like Keenan Cornelius earlier this year, and he felt like he's on a bit of momentum going into this match, and that he's going to be one of the favourites. One of the things you didn't see like Craig Jones just leg locking a lot of people. He was like doing a lot of smooth passing. This is an evolution to Craig Jones's game. He got a guillotine, I think, in the first match, and I think he actually might have got 2 guillotines during the competition in order to get to the final. Yeah, and he faced Mateus Diniz in the final, who had some really hard fights as well. I think Craig Jones submitted pretty much everyone to get the final. Mateus Diniz got a 5-0 against Paulo Montoyo. He got 3-0 victory against Gabriel Arguez. And yeah, some really, really hard fought fights. And he got against Josh Hinginger. He got a 3-0 win over. No, that's Josh Hinginger. Yeah, Josh Hinginger, another from Atos, would have been in this division as well. So he'd be another one of the favorites. You're going into this. I was kind of looking at Craig as possibly facing Josh Hinginger in the final. Pablo or Mateus Diniz in the final against Craig Jones. Just beat Craig Jones 2-0. It was a 30-minute match, and what I seen a lot of was Craig Jones playing from guard. Mateus did a lot not to get a negative. It's just basically about enough not to get a negative score in overtime. Was able to, I think it was a sweep that he got on Craig Jones in order to win the match over. But very, very lucky not to get a negative score. Played a lot in Craig Jones' guard. Craig was very, very, very tired, and it just shows one of the improvements of Craig Jones. Going into this match again, last year he got 4th. This year going in, you're a favourite to win it. He was, and he probably was a little bit disappointed with not actually getting through. And ended up losing to Mateus Diniz, and I thought it was quite surprising. What was interesting me about this division was just the evolution of, well, first off, Craig Jones's game in terms of going for guillotines. Really, really slick guillotine game. Smooth back takes, smooth passing game as well. Just always having the threat there of the leg locks. So people always have to be wary, and it makes it a little bit easier then to attack other submissions and attack likes of the neck, likes of be able to pass, get position, because people have to be so mindful of their legs as well. And it was just showing the evolution. I think we've seen it from all of John Danaher's guys there. Weren't just hunting leg locks, were all more well-read and more of a hard pass. And even Nicky Ryan looking for the back during his matches, not a whole lot of leg lock attempts. Even though he sat down, he was going for back takes as well. And yeah, in -99 was Gordon Ryan. Gordon Ryan ran through the division there with quite with a lot of ease, getting I think it was a rear naked in his first match. Went to point against Lucas Luca Barrosa went to the punch against Luca Barrosa in the finals, winning 3-0 there, but just not really exerting too much energy throughout this really, really good conservative style. You never seen really too explosive. Everything comes gradual. Everyone's just wearing people down and just eventually either getting to the back. And once it gets to the back, it's kind of over from there because he controls the arm so much, traps it with the other arm behind the back, and yeah. Oh, it wasn't actually. It was Vinny Gazzola in the final for Gordon Ansari. Yeah, there's so many matches happened. He won against Lucas Barrosa 3-0 in that match. Look at my win now. And it was his actually, in fairness to him, it was his first match in the what you call it, in ADCC ever. And he, yeah, in fairness, I think he got a submission. Don't know who it was against. Don't have on the notes. But against Lucas Barrosa, he got to the final, winning him 3-0, and then faced obviously Gordon Ryan and getting rear naked choke from there. But like trains out of Marcel Garcia's in New York, did really well to get actually to the final in his first ADCC. So I thought that was really good. And yeah, then obviously again got choked out by. Or not choked out, got a rear naked choke submission by Gordon Ryan to get the win. Plus 99 division was the upset division. This was Nick Rodriguez. Even though he only came second, he was the biggest upset guy here. First facing Muhammad Ali, former world champion, bet him on ref's decision. Then he faced Orlando Sosa. Once again, I think it was a 0-0, went to overtime, ref's decision against him. Then he faced Chris Cyborg, and there you're like, alright. Because even though if it's Muhammad Ali, huge upset, Orlando Sosa, really, really good wrestler. So even if you think like, oh, Nick Rodriguez is a good wrestler, he's able to kind of stall it up in the feet and be overwhelming, more aggressive for takedowns. Orlando Sosa is no slouch in terms of wrestling, and he bet him. And then it came up to Chris Cyborg, and it was a really, really intense match. Went back and forth, especially in the open. Chris Cyborg played a lot on his back. It was real flowing. It kind of looked like they were kind of just rolling for a bit of it. But Cyborg, once they had an armbar on Nick Rodriguez. I think time expired, or Nick got out, but anyway, went to overtime, and you're kind of looking at that and going, if it wasn't for that armbar, you would kind of give it to Nick Rodriguez, but you might have edged it because of that armbar, since that was the only real submission attempt to Chris Cyborg. And then the final happened, right? And Chris Cyborg did a really good job in order to get a shot for a takedown, waited for a few seconds, and it was able to play off his back from there. And Nick, which kind of gave Nick Rodriguez the advantage, because way ADCC scoring is if you're on the top and you're passing and you seem to be attacking the guy from the bottom, you seem to be winning the match. So in that last 5 minutes, I don't think really people explain to Chris Wyatt, unless you're confident of getting a submission. If you think this has any chance of going to the judges, you really can't play from your back, because unless you're getting like submission attack, one after the other, you're going to be down on points for passivity, or you're going to be down on points for not seeming active. It was very, very close. You could have given it to Chris Cyborg, but I think they did the right thing. I think Nick Rodriguez was more and more active person. If you play from your back, and even if you don't get a negative score, you run that risk. If it goes to the judges, they're not going to favor you. You have to be seen to be attacking, and the way they score being attacking is being on attack and trying to pass, trying to go for submission, trying to get positions, trying to score. and you're not really, unless you're like I said, you get submission attempts. After a submission attempt, you're not going to get judges' score. So if in the first 2.5 minutes you haven't got a submission attempt, where you think like in IBJF you would have scored for an advantage for that submission attempt, stand back up, take a chance with a takedown, because you're not going to win. You're not going to get the judges' score. And Chris, well, anyway, this wasn't even the end of it, because Chris Cyborg then lost his shit over not getting the ref's decision, even though I think most people wouldn't have argued with the result. Then refused to fight for the bronze match. We had Buchecha versus Kenan Durante in the semis as well. I'm going to say that was an upset. It went to ref's decision after 15 minutes. Durante actually got the ref's decision over Buchecha. That was upsetting in itself as well. Not even the whole Nick Rodriguez stuff. I think that itself, if that was in any ordinary ADCC, that would be the talking about of Kenan beating Buchecha to get to the final. So then Buchecha was handed basically a bronze medal because Cyborg threw his toys out of pram and refused to fight. So then we had Kenan and Dante fight Nick Rodriguez, and was able to take us back. Is a pretty good wrestler as well, so Nick Rodriguez wasn't going to be able to out pressure him there. Then I think it was near the end of the match, I think Kenan Durante was able to take us back, secure for 3 points. And yeah, once he has his back, I think one of the biggest things, Nick Rodriguez has such a big shoulders and arms that he's able to defend his neck really, really well. And he's also obviously very, very strong. So it was really, really, really hard for Kenan to actually get to win the match, actually score on him. But he or finish him from around naked choke. But he was able to get to 3 points. And that was enough after that. Next division we're going to go to would have been the women's minus 60 kg, and I think going into this match, Fionn Davis obviously would have been one of the favourites, but then she got paired up against Beatrice, who obviously would have been one of the other favourites going into this match, and Beatrice has actually bet Fionn before via an armbar. So when they faced in the semis, you would have thought, Fionn would have been very hard to get past her. Fionn then got an armbar on, it was like a mounted triangle into an armbar on Beatrice, and ended up beating her by submission. That was the first upset. Then you're like, going into this match, now Fionn is going to be the favourite, because she obviously bet Beatrice. It was a huge moment. Then you have Basilio, who is so exciting as well. I think her first match, she won via sub. I think it was I don't know if it was guillotine or Riddick joke. I'll see if I have it in my notes. But she won by sub. Then beat Evelara Carpinian 2-0 to get to the finals. And Fionn had faced her before. You were kind of looking at that match. I think it was the world's last time they fought, and Fionn had won. I think it was a decision victory over her last time. So going to this, Fionn obviously had the momentum, had just been in the number 1 seed, and then started playing leg locks with Barcina. And Fionn doesn't have a great reputation as a dangerous leg locker. I know, like, East Coast Jiu-Jitsu has really good leg lockers. guys there, but it isn't something she normally does. She's known for pressure passing. So I thought it was quite odd for her. Maybe she was working on her camp. Maybe something she's trying to add into her game. But played a leg lock game. It was trying to counter a leg lock against Bastiana. And I just think it was a wrong strategy to go for. Bastiana ended up getting a toe hold and wrenched it. And ended up, I think Fiona actually even hurt her knee after. But it was a toe hold that she got her with and had to be carried off the match. So that's unfortunate for her. But brilliant for Bastiana, one of the nicest girls in jiu-jitsu, and just always friendly, just so aggressive. And then, but she's aggressive with a smile on her face. So that was a huge upset, I thought, for the minus 66. Going into Absolute now, and the Absolute then. All about Lachlan Giles. Lachlan Giles obviously was fighting in the minus 77, went out first round, wasn't really able to get his leg lock game going, got passed, it was kind of a pressure pass, and ended up losing on points. I think it was like 5-0. So going into this match, and the reason he was in the final was because of Craig Jones got an eye injury during his match and was unable to take part in the finals or in the absolutes. So Lachlan Giles took his place, facing first Keenan Deontay, who just beat Boshesha, ADCC champion of plus 99. You wouldn't have gave Lachlan Giles, I'm pretty sure if there was bets on this, odds on Lachlan Giles winning this match was quite low. Ends up heel hooking Keenan, which was incredible in itself. Then end up Patrick Gabio to get to the semis. And one of the big things was even though he had these guys were all like plus 99 and minus 99 champions and world champions like that, all of them had leg lock. Weren't great at leg locks. There was a huge hole in their game. So fighting Lachlan Giles, who obviously trained Craig Jones, and is a leg lock master himself, like incredible leg locker. One, I think, basically took out an entire team with leg locks. So like he's no slouch in that department. Was facing these guys. So even though there was a huge weight division, Lachlan Giles did a really, really good job as being able to get underneath their hips, get control of their legs. Fought Muhammad Ali for the bronze medal. Lost to Gordon Ryan. Gordon Ryan, even though Lachlan got a lot of entries on Gordon Ryan during this match, and had a few times where Gordon Ryan was endangered, but I didn't think Gordon Ryan just did a really good job of just getting out. Didn't seem to phase him any much, but he was able just to use his weight, able to smash past him, got him in a nasty kind of head and arm kind of in order to pass in the half guard, mounted him for a bit. War, I think Lachlan now ended up taking us back and just face crushed him, and so then it was Muhammad Ali versus Lachlan Giles, absolute final. And then you're kind of looking at Muhammad Ali, and you're like, he also does know too many. He doesn't do too many no-gi matches, and he has he is acceptable to being leg locked. Like he just cannot play with Lachlan's laws. Needs his passing, and that's what one big problem with all these guys is. Even though they knew they probably weren't great at leg locks, they all left their legs in there. They all allowed like Lachlan Giles in order to get underneath their head, control their legs, and they didn't shut it down. They didn't stay out, keep their legs out wide, and just kind of control Lachlan's legs and pass by him or try to get smashed past. They all allowed Lachlan to grab his legs. They all allowed him to attack the legs. So what were you expecting? And then Lachlan Giles end up heel hooking Muhammad Ali to get bronze, and the whole crowd went wild. It was such a really, really good moment. Obviously, everybody loves the underdog. Even against Gordon Ryan, people were chanting for Lachlan when he got a few of the entries against Gordon Ryan. In the finals, was a match we all wanted to see. It was Buchecha versus Gordon Ryan. Obviously went to overtime. Once again, just one of the big problems that ADCC scoring has. Why a lot of matches go to overtime is because for the first 5 minutes is no points in most divisions, but every final is 20 minutes long. So it has a 10-minute no point scoring. And during that point scoring, Gordon Ryan even got a sweep on Buchecha, which if points were counted, he would have got 2 points and would have won. And I think that's one of the another things that I noticed going into this match. Scoring says they gave it 20 minutes for into the finals, which seems like a little bit too much long, especially when you know a lot of matches, a lot of finals go to overtime. So that's then another 10 minutes. So that's a half an hour match, and maybe a guy wins on a negative score against his opponent for passivity. But like, you're talking about these two guys going for half an hour long, and near the end they're getting a little bit tired, so points are coming more into. I think if they did, like, even if it was a 15-minute match or just keep a 10-minute match, you would see a lot more aggression. And it's just obviously the no points for the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes for a final is to introduce more aggressiveness and open up the match in order to allow more submissions. But what you see, people is just waiting 4 points to get in order to win on advantage. And that's what we see a lot of the times. Buchecha and Gordon, for the first part, did go for it a bit, but obviously, as the match went down, got really, really tired. Buchecha ended up losing on a negative score for, I think, passivity. I think passivity for that. And then we were, I think for passivity, and yeah, for a match that we were all waiting to see, and that we all wanted it. This is one goal for years. This is one that Gordon Ryan has been calling for years against Buchecha, and we finally got. It was one that we thought we would have seen in the finals of the last ADCC for the finals, and then we were up. That I guess it would have ended up being the co-main event, but the match that we were all looking forward to: Andre Galval and Felipe Pena in the finals, and that was a match that obviously should have been the finals, but it was probably one of the best matches of the night, and it's what we want for these super fight champions. Obviously, Felipe Pena beating Gordon Ryan last year in order to set this belt. Andre Galval was would have been the 5-time champion going into it, and so aggressive. These guys don't really get on, so the match was aggressive from the word go. A lot of palm striking. He could have actually given Andre Galval kind of points. A negative score for like slapping, even though Felipe Pena also would have been probably a little bit less of a set of accused for kind of palm striking as well to Andre Galval. The match was really, really intense going up, especially going into points. You did see the guys exchange a lot on the ground. I think around the 7-minute, Andre Galval got like a takedown on Felipe Pena, and during that exchange, even though Felipe Pena did a really good job not to score a point, when he got taken down, he goes to his side and gets more into a turtle. Once you go into your side and you're in a turtle, you're not getting points scored for the takedown. There's no points. It's so hard to score takedown points against in the ADC, especially when you get into the finals against guys who are veterans who know the scoring of ADCC, but Felipe Pena in doing that ends up hurting his ribs. So I don't know how much that paid into it. Then near the end of the match, once again, Andre Galval, who's definitely the more aggressive guy in this match, ended up getting another double leg, but this time going off, and Felipe Pena went so hard into the into the like an announcement table, into judging table, and there's like all the wires, and there's like computers, so there's like plug sockets there, there's all sorts of that kind of shit on the ground, and concrete as well. So Felipe Pena, already with sore ribs, was complaining that like he was obviously driven too hard into it, but was still on his side. So even though it was basically reset back on the match in where Felipe Pena was on his side, sore turtling, and Andre Galvao was on the top of his legs, just over his knees. And they end up giving Andre Galvao, which I think that he deserved, 2 points for the takedown. A lot of people were saying that, a lot of the commentators were saying that they mightn't give him any points because he was still on his side and his shoulders weren't on the mat. So you need to get both shoulders to the mat in order to get be scored as a takedown. But for the aggression enough and for all the near attempts that Andre Galvao had in that match, he deserved 2 points for that takedown. And he was controlling him. Like, there was more control in that exchange where he was on top of his two legs, even though his leg, then if he taken them down clean into the guard. It was a better control because Felipe Pena's legs were basically together, and he was shutting down his hips. So he did enough in order to get the 2 points for the takedown. And once he gets a takedown in ADCC, especially I think there was only 5 minutes to go, you're not going to do anything from there. So obviously that was the ADCC 2019 Worlds over with. And yeah, it was a really interesting tournament in itself, and one that like I wouldn't recommend binge watching again, but definitely if you haven't seen it before, the only thing about Flow Grappling is, and I got caught with this before because I was like, I'm gonna sign up for it, and I cancelled the subscription after, but then it got screwed because it's very tricky where you have to pay for a year in advance. So it's like €130 for a year, which I thought was a bit kind of lousy of Flow Grappling to catch people out like that, because they had $46 a month, and then but underneath it said in small writing what the yearly thing was. But they never said, oh, this is a one-off subscription. So it was very sneaky, and I ended up getting caught with paying for it, because they only tell you once you sign up to it, and then once you put in your card details, and after you say next, it goes, oh yeah, this is one payment per year. You're like, fuck yous. So it is a lot of money. I would tell people go watch it if it wasn't for that. So if you're on the fence and you're really into jiu-jitsu and you want to sign up to Flow Grappling, definitely once you sign up to it, watch that. But don't sign up to it just to watch ADCC, because it's a lot of money to pay for. Like €130 is a fucking load of money to watch for the ADC. It was great, and I really enjoyed it. One of the things that I did notice in ADCC, one of the big turning points is a lot of people are using, obviously, the back takes in order to leg locks defense in order to take the backs was huge going into it. And they're also, I think, being a one-dimensional grappler now is gone out. You need to kind of have everything. You need to be able to pass. You need to be able to attack legs. Everyone that had a weakness in their game or was more singular focus didn't do well in ADCC, and I think that was the big turning point. Last year there was guys coming in there. Leg locks was huge, and you've seen a lot of guys who were betraying leg locks get a lot of wins using leg locks. This year that was diminished greatly. Obviously, Lachlan Giles probably bumped up the percentage of leg lock finishes in the absolute, but going into the pool matches, into the weight categories, that wasn't the case. And I'm going to leave it there for this week's Shite Talk Podcast show. Like I said, if you have seen ADCC and you have any comments, you can find us on social media and let us know what you think of ADCC and any matches, and maybe we will do a review show and talk about it in more detail.